Welcome back to Devil's Diary TV. Let the story begin. Imagine owning a house that does everything for you. A place where the lights adjust to your mood, the temperature is always perfect, and the security system operates like a personal guardian. This was the dream I, James, lived every day. A tech enthusiast to the core, my home was a showcase of the latest smart devices. Light bulbs that danced to the rhythm of music, cameras that kept a vigilant watch, thermostats that knew my comfort zone better than I did. All these conveniences, all these marvels of technology, promised an effortless life, a secure haven. They were my silent partners, my digital butlers, taking care of my every need. A dream come true, right? But as the saying goes, be careful what you wish for. I never imagined that this dream would soon turn into a living nightmare. Click the box in the corner to subscribe. We have horror stories you will love and post a new story from Devil's Diary TV twice a week. Subscribe now to enjoy the creepy journey into our portal on horror. It started with small, almost negligible glitches. Picture this. You're sipping your morning coffee, watching the sunrise, and out of nowhere the lights start flickering. A minor inconvenience, you'd think. Just a power surge or maybe a loose bulb. But then, it happens again. And again. Not just the lights, mind you, the thermostat too began acting up. One moment it's a comfortable 72 degrees, the next it plunges to a chilly 59. Then the cameras. Oh, the cameras. They were supposed to make me feel safe, provide a sense of security. Instead, they started picking up movement where there shouldn't be any. An empty hallway, a locked room. Places devoid of life, suddenly teeming with activity. The footage showed nothing, but the alerts kept coming, and it wasn't just one device, it was all of them. Acting out of sync, malfunctioning at odd hours. The smart lock would engage and disengage on its own. The smart speakers would randomly turn on, filling the house with static noise. It was as if my home had a mind of its own, a mind that was starting to unravel. At first I chalked it up to system errors, perhaps a software update gone wrong or a glitch in the matrix. I mean, technology isn't perfect, right? It has its hiccups. But these weren't just hiccups. They were warning signs, ominous signals of a storm brewing in the cloud. Then, just as I was about to dismiss these glitches as mere technical anomalies, the messages started. Cryptic, chilling messages that turned my smart home dream into a waking nightmare. But that, my friends, is a tale for another scene. The messages were cryptic yet terrifyingly clear. They began as mere whispers, a quiet hum in the background. It was as if my smart home devices were speaking in tongues, a language alien yet eerily familiar. The smart speakers, once a source of music and news, were now spewing out warnings of an impending danger. The voice was mechanical, devoid of human warmth, yet it carried a chilling message. It spoke of a murder that was yet to happen, a crime that was being plotted within the confines of my own home. The more I listened, the more the voice felt like a disembodied prophet of doom, its words echoing in the silence of my living room. At first, I dismissed these messages as nothing more than a glitch, a malfunction in the system. But as these unsettling warnings persisted, they became impossible to ignore. I found myself drawn to the voice, trying to decipher its cryptic messages. The words were jumbled, yet there was a pattern, a rhythm that hinted at a terrifying truth. I was alone in a house that was trying to communicate a horrifying event, a murder that was yet to happen, a danger that was yet to unfold. The smart home, once a symbol of security and convenience, had turned into a chilling harbinger of doom. I was living in a nightmare, a horror story being narrated by my own smart devices. As the days turned into nights, the messages became more frequent, more insistent. The voice grew louder, its warnings more explicit. It was as if the smart home was desperately trying to alert me, to make me aware of the danger lurking within its walls. I was trapped in a house that seemed to be alive. A house that was whispering secrets of a murder that was yet to take place. The smart home devices, once a source of comfort, were now a source of fear. I was alone in a house that was trying to communicate a horrifying event. The night when the warnings escalated, I'll never forget. The once comforting hum of my smart home turned into a dissonant symphony of fear. The lights dimmed as if the house itself was holding its breath, the air charged with an electric dread. I sat there in the low light, my heart pounding in my chest like a drum. Suddenly, the smart speakers blared with an eerie sound that sent chills down my spine. It was a sound no human could make, a wailing siren that echoed through the hallways, bouncing off the walls and reverberating in my skull. A cold sweat broke out on my forehead as I rushed to the security cameras. The screens flickered, bathed in the glow of the dimmed lights. The cameras, my eyes into every corner of the house, showed me something that made my blood run cold. An intruder, a figure in a mask, was moving through my home. The figure moved with a predatory grace, as if familiar with every inch of my smart home. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. My smart home, my sanctuary, had been compromised. The intruder wasn't just some random burglar. No, this person had a purpose, a chilling intent written in their every move. My smart home devices, once symbols of comfort and security, now seemed like tools of terror in the hands of this intruder. I watched, frozen, as the figure moved silently through the rooms, their every action captured by my own security system. The smart home, my fortress of solitude, was being used against me. I felt a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach. This was no ordinary break-in. This intruder had murderous intentions. My smart home, once a beacon of modern convenience and safety, now a stage for a night of terror. It had been turned against me, a puppet in the hands of a malevolent puppeteer. The walls of my smart home, once protective, now felt like they were closing in, trapping me in a game of cat and mouse with a masked intruder. This was the night of terror, the night my smart home became my nightmare. Armed with fear and my smartphone, I was ready to confront the intruder. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest like a war drum, its rhythm echoing the high-stakes game that was about to unfold. The smart home, once a haven of comfort and convenience, had morphed into a labyrinth of terror. The once friendly voice of my smart assistant now seemed sinister, its words a chilling reminder of the danger lurking in the shadows. As I crept through the darkness, every creak of the floorboards felt like a deafening roar. The glow from my smartphone screen was my only source of light, casting long, ominous shadows that danced on the walls. Each room I entered was a new level in this real-life horror game, with the intruder, the final boss, waiting somewhere in the depths of the house. Suddenly the lights flickered on, blinding me momentarily. The smart home was playing its part in this deadly game, its actions controlled by the intruder. It felt like I was trapped in a twisted version of a haunted house, where the ghosts had been replaced by technology gone rogue. I could hear the soft hum of the smart devices around me, their usual comforting presence now a chilling reminder of the intruder's control. Each room presented a new challenge, the smart devices working in tandem to confuse and disorient me. The house, once familiar, was now a maze of uncertainty. The confrontation was inevitable, a showdown in a world where technology had turned against its master. I was David standing against Goliath, the intruder wielding the power of the smart home against me. The final showdown was a blur of fear, adrenaline, and the eerie glow of the smart lights, their colors shifting in sync with the intruder's malicious intent. In the end, the confrontation was a terrifying dance with death, a chilling reminder of the dangers lurking in the shadows of our connected world. The very technology I trusted was now a trap. The horrifying truth was far from what I had ever imagined. My smart home, my haven of safety and comfort, had turned into a den of horror. The smart devices that I had so proudly displayed were now mere puppets, controlled by an unseen mastermind. As I continued my desperate game of hide-and-seek with the intruder, I stumbled upon a chilling revelation. The AI system that controlled my smart home had been manipulated. The glitches, the cryptic messages, the uncannily timed flickering of lights. It was all orchestrated by someone who had infiltrated the very heart of my home. The revelation was like a punch to the gut, leaving me reeling. The intruder, the masked figure I had seen on my security cameras, was not just a random trespasser. They had planned this, meticulously and with a chilling precision. They had turned my smart home against me, transforming it into a deadly trap. But why? Why would someone go to such lengths? The answer was as shocking as the situation itself. Revenge. The intruder claimed it was revenge for an injustice that I had supposedly done, but it was an injustice I had no memory of, no knowledge about. The accusation was as baffling as it was terrifying. I was trapped in my own home, a pawn in someone else's game of revenge. The smart home that had once made my life easier was now a labyrinth of danger, each device a potential threat. The very technology that I had trusted, that I had welcomed into my home, had become a weapon in the hands of a vengeful intruder. I was at the mercy of a faceless enemy, struggling to survive in a home that no longer felt like mine. The truth was revealed, and it was a nightmare I could never have anticipated. But this was just the beginning. The worst was yet to come. Welcome back to Devil's Diary TV. Let the story begin. Hi, I'm Carl. Picture this. A family moves into a charming old house. Nestled in a quiet neighborhood, the house, with its timbered facade and creaky wooden floors, oozes old-world charm. The family, bewitched by its quaintness, eagerly begins to settle in, filling the rooms with laughter and warmth. But as they explore, something unusual catches their eyes. On the top floor, a door stands out. It's been boarded up, the wood aged and weathered. It's a stark contrast to the rest of the house. The family is intrigued. A room that's been locked away for years, maybe decades in their new home. The mystery is too enticing to resist. The father, a burly man with a hearty laugh, tries to pull off the boards, but they're stubborn, clinging to the door as if hiding some deep secret. The children, wide-eyed and curious, watch as their father wrestles with the wooden planks. Their mother stands by, a nervous smile playing on her lips. There's an unspoken question hanging in the air. What lies beyond this door? As the last board gives in, a sense of accomplishment washes over them. They've unlocked a piece of history, a part of their new home that's been hidden away. The children are buzzing with excitement, their imaginations running wild. Could it be a treasure room? A secret study? Or maybe a hideout from the olden days? But the mother, she's not as thrilled. A sense of unease settles in her. She can't shake off the feeling that they've stirred something that was meant to remain undisturbed. But she shakes off her worries, not wanting to dampen the excitement. They stand before the now unsealed door, anticipation hanging heavy in the air. What secrets could this room hold? They were about to find out. For more horror stories from the Devil's Diary TV, subscribe now. Driven by the need to unravel the mysteries, the family decides to unseal the room. As the boards come off, an ancient force is released, instantly transforming their home. The air grows thick and heavy, as if the very walls of the house are holding their breath. The family stands frozen, their eyes wide with a mixture of fear and fascination. The room, untouched for decades, is a time capsule of sorts. Its musty air holds a stale scent of forgotten memories, of laughter and tears swallowed by the silence of time. But amidst the dust and decay, there's an undercurrent of something else. Something dark, something sinister. As the last plank falls away, an icy gust of wind sweeps through the house. The lights flicker and dim, casting long twisting shadows that seem to writhe and recoil from the newly opened room. The family's faces are etched with a dawning realization of the terror they've just unleashed. The once warm and welcoming house now feels alien and hostile. The cheerful chatter of the family is replaced by an oppressive silence, broken only by the distant, disconcerting creaks and groans of the old house adjusting to its new inhabitant. The once familiar corridors twist and turn into a maze of shadows, their comforting familiarity replaced by an eerie sense of foreboding. The malevolent force, now free from its confinement, spreads throughout the house like a dark, insidious mist, seeping into every nook and cranny. It transforms the mundane into the menacing, the familiar into the frightening. The family watches in growing horror as their home morphs into a nightmarish landscape. As they stand there, shivering in the chill that has swept through their home, they can't help but feel the weight of their decision. They've opened a door that was meant to remain closed, awakened a force that was meant to remain dormant, and now they're left to face the consequences of their curiosity. Shadows danced on the walls, and the once familiar corridors became an eerie landscape. The family, once thrilled by the prospect of a new beginning, now stands on the precipice of a terrifying journey into the unknown. With the release of the malevolent force, the house undergoes a spine-chilling transformation. The once homely abode is now wrapped in a shroud of darkness, its familiar forms warped and twisted by the spectral presence. Rooms that once echoed with laughter now echo with an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional creak or whisper that seems to come from nowhere and everywhere simultaneously. Suddenly the house becomes an enigmatic entity, its architecture a terrifying puzzle. Rooms shift places as if moved by invisible hands. The cozy living room that once welcomed guests is now a chilling crypt, its warmth replaced with a bone-rattling cold. The children's bedroom, once a sanctuary of dreams, now hosts nightmares. The kitchen, once the heart of the home, pulses with a sinister energy, its once inviting aroma replaced by the musty scent of decay. The hallways, once straight and predictable, now stretch endlessly like a snake in the grass. The once familiar path to the bathroom or the study now leads to unsettling dimensions. The once comforting walls close in, their once reassuring solidity giving way to a spectral fluidity that defies logic. The doors, once gateways to familiar spaces, now open to chilling scenes from the past or terrifying glimpses of a possible future. The front door, once a symbol of welcome, now seems to repel any attempt at escape, its once warm wood now as cold as ice. The family, once excited by their new home, now find their excitement replaced with a growing unease. The house they once saw as a sanctuary now feels like a prison. Their dream home has become a nightmarish labyrinth, its once comforting confines now a trap. The joy of discovery has been replaced with a fear of the unknown. As the malevolent force strengthens, the transformation of the house intensifies. The family's hopes of a peaceful life in their new home are shattered as they find themselves trapped in a nightmarish labyrinth within their own home. The once familiar is now foreign, the once safe now dangerous, the once comforting now terrifying. The family found themselves trapped in a nightmarish labyrinth within their own home. As the malevolent force takes hold, the family experiences chilling encounters, ghostly apparitions, unsettling whispers, and manifestations of their deepest fears. The house, once a haven of warmth and comfort, now bristles with a sinister energy that sends shivers down their spines. The air grows heavy, the darkness a bit more oppressive, and the silence, oh the silence, is punctuated by soft, eerie whispers that seem to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. The family, once filled with joy and excitement, now finds themselves in a state of perpetual terror. They are no longer guests in their own home, but prisoners to the unseen force that lurks within its walls. Their every step is shadowed by ghostly figures, their every dream invaded by nightmarish visions. Their youngest, once bubbly and full of life, now flinches at her own shadow, her laughter replaced by fearful sobs. The father, a man of strength and courage, finds his resolve crumbling under the relentless onslaught of the malevolent force, and the mother, the heart of the family, meets a tragic end. The chilling reality of her death sends waves of despair through the family. Their haven has turned into a house of horrors, their dreams into nightmares. Yet they can't escape, for every door, every window seems to lead them back into the labyrinth of terror. Their desperate cries for help echo through the house, swallowed by its dark corners and winding hallways. Their fear feeds the malevolent force, making it stronger, more relentless. It revels in their terror, thriving on their despair. The walls close in, the shadows grow longer, and the whispers grow louder. The family, trapped and terrified, is left to face their haunting encounters alone. Their hopes of a peaceful life in their new home have been shattered, replaced by a chilling reality of a never-ending nightmare. Every attempt to escape the house led them deeper into its haunting grip. Realizing the gravity of their situation, the family desperately searches for a way to break free from the malevolent force's clutches. They scramble through the eerie corridors of their once familiar home, now a nightmarish maze. Their hearts pound in sync with the ominous ticking of the ancient clock, echoing through the endless halls. The family stumbles upon a hidden library, its musty air thick with the scent of forgotten years and buried secrets. Dusty shelves groan under the weight of ancient tomes, their pages yellowed and brittle with age. The family, driven by a desperate hope, begins to sift through the antiquated collection. They uncover old journals, their leather-bound covers worn and faded. The ink, once bold and vivid, has now faded into a ghostly whisper of its former self. The entries, penned in a trembling hand, tell a tale as old as the house itself, painting a chilling portrait of the room's dark past. In these crumpled pages, they discover a tale of a scorned lover, a brutal murder, and a vengeful spirit doomed to wander the halls of the house for eternity. The boarded-up room, they learn, was the final resting place of this spirit, sealed away in a desperate bid to contain the malevolent force within. As they delve deeper into the tragic past, they stumble upon a collection of strange artifacts, a tarnished locket, an ancient dagger, and a tattered map, each piece a fragment of the tragic tale spun within the pages of the journal. The family pieces together the chilling history, their hearts heavy with the weight of their discovery. They realize the spirit is not just a vengeful entity, but a tortured soul, wronged and betrayed, now seeking retribution from any who dare to disturb its eternal rest. What they found was a tragic history and a vengeful spirit that now seeks to torment its inhabitants. In a final, spine-chilling confrontation, the family must confront the malevolent force head-on. They stand at the precipice of the unknown, the air thick with dread. The house, once a symbol of comfort and security, has morphed into a terrifying maze, its walls echoing with the whispers of the vengeful spirit. This confrontation isn't just with the unseen entity, but also with their own fears, their own doubts. They're not merely fighting a supernatural force, they're grappling with the chilling realization of what this house, their home, has become. As they delve deeper into the heart of the house, they feel the temperature drop, a coldness that seeps into their bones. The spectral figure of their mother appears, a hollow echo of the woman they once knew. The sight of her is both heartbreaking and horrifying, a cruel twist of their deepest desires. In the face of this malevolence, they find unexpected courage. They stand their ground, their resolve strengthened by their love for their mother, and their desire to reclaim their home. The air crackles with tension as they demand the spirit release its hold on their mother, on their home. But the spirit, fueled by decades of rage and sorrow, refuses to yield. It retaliates, the house shaking with its fury. The family is tossed around like rag dolls, their screams swallowed by the roaring wind. It's a battle of wills, a struggle for control. In the midst of this chaos, shocking truths are unveiled. The spirit is a manifestation of a heinous crime committed in this very house, a crime that took the life of a young woman, much like their mother. This revelation sends a ripple of horror through the family, amplifying their determination to end this nightmare. The family, united in their purpose, channels their collective strength. They confront the spirit, acknowledging its pain, its anger. They promise to seek justice for the wrongs done, to ensure the young woman's story is heard. The spirit, caught off guard by their sincerity, hesitates. In this moment of respite, the family makes a harrowing decision. Do they use this opportunity to bring their mother back to life, or do they risk everything to banish the malevolent force, potentially trapping themselves in this hellish reality forever? This climax forces the family to make a harrowing decision to bring their mother back to life or live in hell forever. Which would you choose? Comment below. For more horror stories from the Devil's Diary TV, click here to watch now. Like, comment, and subscribe before it's too late for you too.
Welcome back to Devil's Diary TV. Let the story begin. Picture this: a new neighborhood, a fresh start. Everything seems normal, tranquil even. The sun's rays are glinting off the polished cars in the driveways, the scent of freshly mowed lawns filling the air. The houses, all identical, stand in neat rows, their white picket fences the epitome of suburban charm. And there I was, Jane, the newest addition to this picture-perfect scene. I'd moved from the hustle and bustle of the city, seeking a quieter life. The neighborhood welcomed me with open arms. There were smiles, friendly nods, and invitations to backyard barbecues. One neighbor, in particular, was always around. Let's call him John. He lived next door, a middle-aged man with an easy smile and a penchant for gardening. He'd wave at me every morning, his greeting as regular as the sunrise. Over time, his presence became a part of my daily routine, as familiar as the mailman's arrival or the evening news. But as the weeks rolled into months, I began to notice something peculiar about John. His friendly demeanor, once comforting, started to feel overbearing. There was a certain intensity in his gaze, a persistence in his interactions. It was as if he was always there, always watching. An uneasy feeling began to creep in, a nagging sense of being observed, even within the sanctuary of my own home. I brushed off these feelings initially, attributing them to my overactive imagination. After all, this was the suburbs, a place where the most exciting event was the annual neighborhood barbecue. What could possibly go wrong? But soon the signs became too glaring to ignore. The lingering looks, the constant presence, the feeling of being watched, it was all too real. But I was yet to discover the true extent of the obsession that was brewing right next door. Little did I know there was something far from normal brewing next door. For more horror stories from the Devil's Diary TV, subscribe now. Things start to get strange. I feel watched, observed. But it's just my imagination, right? Every day I would feel a pair of eyes following me, from the moment I stepped out of my house to jog in the early morning mist, to the time I got home from work, weary and longing for solitude. It was a constant, unsettling presence that seemed to hover over me like a dark cloud. I'd see my neighbor, always there, always watching. His eyes, hidden behind thick glasses, were always on me. At first, I dismissed it as the harmless curiosity of a lonely old man. But as days turned into weeks, I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off. I would catch him out of the corner of my eye, peering at me from behind his living room curtains. His gaze, always intense, always focused, would send a shiver down my spine. I would tell myself, it's just a coincidence, he's not really watching me. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. My heart would pound every time I saw his car parked a little too close to mine. I would feel a chill run down my spine when I noticed his lights still on late at night, long after everyone else had turned in. I started doubting my own sanity, asking myself, am I just being paranoid? But then, there were the gifts. Small, seemingly innocent, left at my doorstep. A bunch of wildflowers, a homemade pie, a book that he thought I might like. They seemed like friendly gestures, but they were reminders that he was watching, always watching. I tried to brush it off, to convince myself that I was reading too much into things. But the unease grew, the tension escalated, and my peaceful suburban life was slowly turning into a nightmare. The feeling of being watched, of being a target, was becoming a part of my everyday life. The signs were becoming too glaring to ignore. And then, the discovery. Pictures of me taken from the neighbor's window. The realization dawned upon me like a cold winter morning. In the midst of the mundane, the ordinary, the everyday, a chilling revelation was lurking. I had stumbled upon a series of photographs, snapshots of my life captured from a distance. The images showed me going about my daily routine, unaware of the lens that was pointed my way. The pictures were ordinary, nothing out of the ordinary. A click of me watering the plants, another one of me reading a book by the window, a candid shot of me laughing at a joke while talking on the phone. Yet, the ordinariness was what made it all the more unsettling. The photographs were not just a violation of my privacy. They were a chronicle of my life seen through the eyes of my obsessed neighbor. The pictures were not the only thing that I found. There were notes too. Scribbles about my routines, my likes, my dislikes. It was as if someone was trying to know me, not by talking to me but by observing me, studying me. The thought sent a shiver down my spine. It was not just about the photographs. It was about the intent behind them. A feeling of dread washed over me. The friendly neighborhood, the peaceful life, the sense of security. All of it seemed like a distant dream. I was living next door to a stalker, someone who was watching my every move, documenting my life. I felt my heart pounding in my chest, my hands shaking as I held the photographs. I could feel the walls of my house closing in on me. My safe haven no longer felt safe. I was being watched, followed, studied. I was not just a neighbor anymore, I was an obsession. My sense of security was about to crumble. The realization was chilling, the implications horrifying. The discovery had turned my world upside down. My life, as I knew it, was about to change. The nightmare was only beginning. Opening. I confront the neighbor, hoping for a misunderstanding. But what I find is far more chilling. The day had come when I finally decided to face this unsettling situation head-on. A confrontation was unavoidable. I had to know the truth, no matter how disturbing it might be. I knocked on my neighbor's door, my heart pounding like a drum in my chest. The door creaked open, an eerie silence hanging thick in the air. I gulped, summoning every ounce of courage I had, and stepped inside. As I ventured further into the house, I stumbled upon a room that seemed to be dedicated to me. It was a chilling sight, a shrine of my life. Photos of me plastered on the walls, items that belonged to me, meticulously gathered and displayed like precious artifacts. The realization hit me like a punch in the gut. This was no misunderstanding. This was obsession in its rawest form. My neighbor had been watching me, cataloging my life without my knowledge. It was a stark invasion of my privacy, a violation of my personal space. I confronted my neighbor, demanding an explanation. The response was a chilling monologue of twisted justifications. He spoke of an imagined connection, a fabricated bond that existed only in his mind. The delusion was so strong, so deeply ingrained, it sent chills down my spine. Walking away from that confrontation, I felt a cold dread settle in my bones. This was more than a creepy neighbor. This was a stalker, an obsessed individual who had invaded my life, turning my peaceful existence into a living nightmare. The confrontation was a turning point, a jolt of reality that pushed me into action. I knew I had to escape, to get as far away as possible from this obsessed stalker. Closing, a twisted explanation that sent shivers down my spine. Trapped in a nightmare, I plot my escape. The realization that I'm living next to someone whose obsession with me is escalating to dangerous levels. It's like a cold wave washing over me. Fear becomes my constant companion, a shadow that follows me even in the brightest daylight. My once beloved home morphs into a prison. The walls that once offered comfort and warmth now seem to close in on me, a constant reminder of the eyes that are always watching. The neighbor's obsession, it's like a vice tightening around me, making it harder to breathe with each passing day. I find myself constantly looking over my shoulder, the fear of being watched ever present. My nights are filled with nightmares, my own subconscious echoing the reality of my waking hours. I'm trapped in a cycle of fear and paranoia, and I know I need to break free. So I start to plan. plan to escape the terror that has been thrust upon me. I find myself poring over maps, researching new neighborhoods, all with one goal in mind: to get as far away from the nightmare next door as possible. Each action, each decision is fueled by the desperate need to reclaim my life, to take back my sense of safety and security. But with each step I take to distance myself, the neighbor's fixation only seems to grow. Each attempt to escape is met with increased intensity, a dangerous game of cat and mouse. It's like the closer I get to freedom, the tighter the obsession grips me. It's a living nightmare, a horrific reality that I never thought I'd have to face. But I know I have to keep going, to keep fighting. Because the alternative, to remain trapped in this cycle of fear and obsession, is a fate far worse than anything I could imagine. So I press on, fueled by the hope of a life free from the terror of my obsessed neighbor. The living nightmare intensified. I needed a way out. Even after relocating, the haunting doesn't stop. The fear of being watched lingers. The echoes of my stalker nightmare refused to fade away, even as I tried to rebuild my life far from the shadow of my obsessed neighbor. The terror of being constantly watched, of having my privacy invaded so maliciously, had seeped into my bones, leaving a chilling residue that was hard to shake off. Every unfamiliar face on the street, every unexpected knock on the door, every unattended item in my yard seemed to whisper a sinister message. "You're not safe." The paranoia was overwhelming, clouding my judgment and tainting the simplest joys of life with dread. But it wasn't just the constant fear that gnawed at me, it was the loss of trust. Trust in the comforting illusion of safety within my own home, trust in the benign smiles of neighbors, trust in the unspoken social contract that respects personal boundaries. The cloak of innocence had been ripped off, unveiling a disturbing reality I had never imagined. And then there were the nightmares, the sleepless nights, the flashbacks that would strike like lightning, leaving me breathless and shaken. The haunting image of the photographs, the shrine of obsession, the confrontation, they all replayed in my mind like a broken record, refusing to be silenced. Yet, in the midst of this turmoil, I discovered a strength I never knew I possessed, a resilience that allowed me to face my fears, to reclaim my life from the clutches of my stalker nightmare. It wasn't easy, and it wasn't quick, but every step I took, every day I survived, was a victory. I learned to be vigilant without being paranoid, to trust without being naive, to value my privacy without isolating myself. I learned to draw boundaries, to assert my right to safety, and to stand up against any violation of my personal space. This haunting aftermath, this lingering shadow of my stalker nightmare, has been a journey of self-discovery, of transformation. It has changed me, shaped me, made me who I am today. And while I would never wish such a terrifying experience on anyone, I cannot deny the profound impact it has had on my life. A story that changed my perspective on privacy and safety forever. And there you have it. Obsessed Neighbor, unveiling my stalker nightmare. A chilling journey into the darkness that can lurk even in the most unsuspecting places. A tale that forces us to question how well we truly know those around us. And a stark reminder that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones hiding in plain sight. If you appreciate the realness, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.